Hello everyone, ready for a new story? Don't forget to subscribe if you like our work, please. Some stories belong to the past. Some are yet to come. Some exist in worlds we can only imagine. Here, every story, from history to fantasy, from reality to the unknown, finds its voice. Welcome to Echoes Beyond Time.
At that time, the Valar had called a great feast in Valimar. They wished to heal the divisions among the Noldor and restore unity. The Vanyar, Noldor, and many of the Teleri had gathered. Music and laughter filled the air. The trees shimmered in their cycle of mingling light, silver turning to gold, gold to silver. And just in that moment of joy and apparent peace, Melkor and Ungoliant struck. Hidden in that crushing darkness, they moved silently to the green hill of Ez-Elohar, where the two trees stood. Melkor rushed forward and hewed at the trunks of Telperion and Laurelin with his black spear. The trees groaned and bled sap like liquid light. Ungoliant flung herself upon them, and with each bite, she drank their light. She sucked the wells of their power dry, swallowing every last gleam until both trees withered and died, two dead husks where once the light of the world had been rooted. Valinor was plunged into absolute blackness. This was not simple darkness, like the night under stars. This was the suffocating emptiness woven by Ungoliant, where even sound seemed trapped. In the chaos, while the Valar cried out, trying to understand what had happened, Melkor and Ungoliant fled north, hidden inside that same shroud of shadow. They moved swiftly while the Blessed Realm was still stunned. Their target now was Formenos. At Formenos, in the north, were the House of Feanor, the treasures of the Noldor, and, most importantly, the Silmarils, locked in a chest of crystal and steel. There also was Finwë alone, for Feanor himself was not there at that very moment. Melkor arrived at the gates of Formenos with the darkness of Ungoliant swirling about him. Finwë, High King of the Noldor, though unarmed against such power, did not flee. He stood in defense of his house and his people. But against Melkor, who now was filled with fury and malice, the Elf King had no chance. Melkor slayed Finwë before his own doors. This was the first time that the blood of an elf was spilled by violence in the Blessed Realm. Melkor broke into the vaults of Formenos, seized many gems and treasures, but above all, he took the 3 Silmarils. Their pure light burned in his hands, but he clutched them anyway. He and Ungoliant then fled across the grinding ice and bitter lands, back toward Middle-earth. As they journeyed, Ungoliant grew even more enormous and more hungry. The jewels Melkor had taken shone inside the darkness of her webs, but she wanted more. When they reached the northern lands of Middle-earth, Melkor tried to turn away and go his own way, toward his old northern strongholds. But Ungoliant blocked his path. She demanded the reward he had promised. Melkor, not yet ready to face her, gave her many of the lesser treasures, the gold, the other gems stolen from Finwë. She devoured their light, growing yet more huge and bloated with black shadow. But when she demanded the Silmarils, Melkor refused. They were now more than mere jewels. They were the proof of his victory over the Valar and Feanor, the symbols of light that he had stolen. Ungoliant wrapped him in her webs and began to crush him. Her darkness tightened like bands of iron. Melkor choked. He, the great rebel of the world, was nearly destroyed by the very ally he had chosen. In his agony, he let out a scream, a terrible, vast cry of despair and rage. This cry echoed through the roots of the mountains and the deep places of the world. In those depths, in forgotten caverns and vaults of the north, lay some of his oldest servants, the Balrogs, spirits of fire wrapped in shadow, who had fled the War of the Powers and hidden. They heard his call. Armed with their whips of flame, they rushed to their master's aid. They fell upon Ungoliant, beating her back with fire and terror. She spat darkness and fled, screaming into the south, into lands where no one cared to follow. Some say she eventually devoured herself, eaten by her own hunger. He then went to the old northern stronghold of Angband, which had been a secondary fortress in the days before Utumno fell. Now he rebuilt it greater than before. He raised the peaks of Thangorodrim, 3 smoking iron-crowned mountains above the gates of Angband. He filled the pits with furnaces. He called all his remaining servants to him, orcs, trolls, fell beasts, and other corrupted creatures. There he set himself up again as a dark lord over the north. The Silmarils he set in an iron crown which he wore upon his head. But the Silmarils were not made for his hand or his will. Their pure light burned his flesh and his spirit. The pain was constant, like fire pressed into his skull. Yet he would not part with them. His pride was greater than his pain. Melkor, gasping but alive, was free again. He still held the Silmarils. Meanwhile, back in Valinor, the Valar struggled in the darkness. They discovered the dead trees. They understood that Melkor had escaped and that Finwë had been slain and the Silmarils stolen. Yavanna, the giver of fruits, tried to heal the trees, but they were beyond full recovery. From the very last sap and the last flower, later, the Valar would create the sun and moon, but for now the age of the 2 trees was ended. News came to Feanor in Formenos. His father was dead. His greatest works, the Silmarils, had been taken by Melkor. The grief and fury that filled him were beyond words. He felt betrayed by fate, by the Valar, perhaps even by the world itself. He gathered the Noldor and spoke to them with a fire that was almost painful to hear. He blamed Melkor, of course, but he also blamed the Valar for failing to protect Finwë and Valinor. He claimed that the Noldor had been brought into this land of supposed safety only to be struck down without the chance to defend their own. In a speech that would mark the turning point of elven history, Feanor roused the Noldor to rebellion and exile. He urged them to leave Valinor, to go back to Middle-earth, to make war upon Melkor, and to reclaim the Silmarils with their own hands. And it is here, in the heat of that anger, that Feanor gave Melkor a new name. To the Noldor he said, "This being is no longer just Melkor. That is the name he bore among the Ainur. Now he is Morgoth, the black foe of the world." From that moment on, among elves and later men, this became his true name. Melkor was the name he had been given in the beginning, when he still walked in the music of creation. Morgoth was the name he earned through his own choices, the name of a destroyer, the enemy of all life in Arda. And so the third part of Melkor's story ends with that transformation. Not a change of nature, but a change of title and truth. From now on, we are not only speaking of Melkor, the rebel Valar. We are speaking of Morgoth, the dark enemy, crowned with burning jewels, sitting in Angband beneath the shadow of Thangorodrim, while in the west, the Noldor prepare to leave the Blessed Realm and bring war into the lands of Middle-earth. That is how the light of the trees was destroyed, how the first Elf King was slain in Valinor, how the Silmarils were stolen, and how the most powerful of the Ainur earned the name that would haunt the First Age, Morgoth.
Thank you for watching. Every story leaves an echo, and this one has reached its end. If you enjoyed the journey, give it a like. It truly helps us grow. Tell us in the comments what story you'd like to hear next, from the past, the future, or a world beyond. And don't forget to subscribe, so you never miss the next echo on Echoes Beyond Time.